Hey, we made it to another Friday.
Hey, what's up, y'all? How y'all feel?
TG, guess what, guys? He still has not gotten me
I don't
any
have
theme music.
I know, like you say, that every hero needs to have their theme
Shiro.
music or Shiro.
You told me you was gonna give me some
I
theme
did
music.
that. I got to get you some theme music.
Okay,
So,
and
if we
it's
got any musicians out there, we need
no,
some
we
custom.
don't need them.
We
No,
need some
we don't try.
customs.
So, all right, guys, thank you for tuning in to Friday. We had a great week. We hope you guys had a great week also. I don't have my phone with me.
hmm
But
That's okay.
so let's do a recap this week's episode.
Well, let's
So
introduce our guest.
I was gonna do that after we do this week's podcast.
Okay. Go
All
right
right. All right. So this week another episode came out on Wednesday.
Yes, it is.
And that was episode, it should have been episode 112, right?
It was episode.
All right,
112.
112 that says healthy marriage, healthy you. And we had our wonderful guest on our podcast, which was Veronica, right? Veronica. So Veronica Douglas.
Yep.
So let's introduce Veronica's here with us today, Friday,
Yeah.
to continue the
Hello.
conversation.
Yes. Hello. Good evening, everyone. Happy Friday. And thank
Yes.
All
you.
right, all right. So we know usually it takes you guys a minute to get on. So we're just going to run down and recap. So again, if you haven't watched this week's episode of Loving Beyond the I Do podcast, go and watch it. It's episode 112 and it's healthy marriage, healthy you.
That's right.
And go and like on that subscribe button. Can we get a subscribe button to help the people?
Oh, okay. Cool.
All right. So my what do they call those people in the background that's doing all the work?
Me.
No,
Oh,
what do they call them? The word escapes me, but my technician here, he's doing everything else.
Uh-huh.
So go and subscribe to Loving Beyond the I Do podcast, as well as legendaryrelationship.com. There are subscribe buttons on both. If you go to YouTube, you can go to Legendary Relationship. At the top, there's a subscribe button, and if you scroll down, you'll see Loving Beyond the I Do. There's another subscribe button. That way you will be notified when new episodes come out.
You won't miss a thing.
You won't miss a thing.
That's right.
All right. And I know that usually I send out my 10-minute notice to everybody, and I didn't send it out. And I'm looking and I'm like, okay, I think people have forgotten that today is Friday.
Of course they have.
So, because I normally.
If one thing people remember, they remember Friday.
They do,
Any
but
day out of the
yeah,
week.
but they forget that because normally, you get used to people sending you the
Reminders.
notification, right?
Yep.
So I forgot to send out my
They need to put it on
reminder.
their calendar because we're
Yep.
here.
All right. So, guys, as we said before, this week went fast. Another shout out that I want to give out. I don't think I did last week. I told everyone it was Jason's birthday, but I didn't do a shout out to my sister and her husband, did I?
Yeah, you did. You mentioned
For
it.
a happy anniversary,
You
their
did, but you
30th
did.
year anniversary. All right. So, Angela and Earl Dillon, happy 30th anniversary.
Yeah.
Thank God you made it this far because
Yeah.
without God, who knows where we would be, right? So, I also want to do a shout out to my niece who also had her anniversary during that time. And I have no idea how many years it's been.
Okay.
Maybe 4, maybe, I don't know.
I don't know.
So between 3 and 5.
There you go.
I don't know.
They made it.
They made it. All right. So Morgan and Saeed Bishi. So shout out to them for their anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So last week we also told everyone to go and download our free ebook. To go, you get it. Yep. My technician over here. So guys, if you have not gone and downloaded the free ebook, it is on our website at legendaryrelationship.com. And Jason, if you could cue that up real quick for me,
What's that?
the book. Bring up the book.
Oh, sure, not a problem. babe.
All right.
Mhm.
So the book is, you get a free copy of the ebook, which says Awaken the Love and Intimacy in Your Relationship. 8 simple, not hard, 8 simple steps, 8 simple ways to get the romance back, right? To wake it up, to shake it up, because sometimes things dim out and we want to wake it back up. So again, you can go on our you can go on our website, legendaryrelationship.com, and put in your email, you'll be able to get the free ebook. Okay, so all right, so let's start the conversation. Again, if anyone is out there, you know the routine. If anyone is out there and you want us to give you a shout out, please make a comment or a hey or a hand or a hi. Hopefully we won't miss you. Last week we missed Mia Miller. So Shout out to Mia because we did miss you until we went back and viewed it. We saw that you were there. All right, Vicky says hello, family from Earl and Vicky. Hello,
Hey
Earl and
guys.
Vicky. Welcome to another Friday. I hope you guys had a fantastic week. If you missed it, our guest today is Veronica Douglas, who was on our Wednesday episode,
Yes.
which talked about a numerous of things. So
Yep.
we're going to let Veronica come in. We're going to give her the floor to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about herself.
So, hello, everyone. Like, I'm just very glad to be here. Thank you so much, Jason and Tina. So, my name is Veronica Douglas, and I'm actually a licensed clinical social worker. My main thing that I do is therapy for individuals, employee assistance. But a part of that is my work with couples, and which I've started to really enjoy so much. I actually do it contractually on the side, and I'm currently in a PhD program in marriage and family therapy. So it's become very ingrained in my life right now. And I've been doing social work for a number of years, just really with the philosophy of relationship building. And I think the key thing that I would say to anyone in a relationship, because this is not just about marriage, this is about relationships, right? Is practice, practice, practice. That's the verb of marriage. And if we could still stay connected to that verb of marriage, then you will have the longevity that we're looking for.
Wonderful, wonderful. So when you say you deal with couples, when they usually come to speak to you or when you're dealing with them, is it more or less, how do they approach their issues? Is it more or less the blame game? Do we play the blame game? So give us your take on that.
You know, when you said blame game, Tina, I just thought about a couple. That was my last couple I left last night. And I tell them, see, you're roller coastering again. It's your turn. And so I says, okay, let's just play. It's your turn. And then she would go and I said, now it's your turn. And they were like, okay, that's what you're doing. And so I says, if somebody doesn't clip this, stop it. Where are we going? Back and forth, back and forth. So you're right. Blame game.
Okay, so I know last week, Vicky, we put the question out there. So, Jason, can we get the question up on the screen?
We sure can, babe.
All right. So the question for this week was who's responsible when love fades? So Vicky, before we get into any ideas, what is your take on that? I hope you and Earl had time to discuss it.
That.
Yes. So if there's anyone else out there, because I only know Vicky's out there because she said hello, family. So if anyone else out there wants to be shout out, please put your name, say hello, and please let us know what your take is on. So who is responsible? Vicky, who do you think is responsible when love fades?
Yeah, that's.
And then we're going to take it over to Veronica to get her take on it.
Yeah. It's the answer is probably going to surprise everyone. 'Cause I have my general idea of whose fault it is.
All right.
Or who's responsible.
So-
I won't say fault.
So let's see. Let's see if Vicky's gonna give us. Vicky, are you guys typing? I hope you're typing. Vicky and Earl. Vicky said, "I don't want to answer." Earl, you answer. No. Earl, like, no, you're not getting me caught up.
I like Earl answers though. They're nice.
All right, Earl, who's to blame? Who's responsible when love fades? Give us one of those. And I think what Vicky said, they were married for how many years last
18.
week?
18 years.
All right.
Okay.
So give us one of those 18 years of marriage answers.
Yes.
Right. Mhm.
All right. So Nancy Smith has responded. We're both responsible because we are both aware. Aware of what? What you guys aware of?
You where you have some issues or you where?
So hello, Nancy. Welcome
Yes,
to the
thank you.
show. All right. So Nancy says we're both responsible because we are both aware. So what do you say on that, Veronica?
Well, you're right. It's a surprise question, the surprise answer, Jason, because the answer for me is no one. And you know what? It's not the who, it's the what.
Okay. So give us a little bit more. So what do you mean by that?
So we got things like the routine, the things that we settle in, the magic, the buzz, right? You know,
Mhm.
the research now says that that initial stuff that brings people together in the honeymoon phase is all about endorphins.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So when those endorphins start to fade away, there goes the buzz, there goes the high, right? And then we go to patterns, routine, unspoken expectations. So these are all the things that come in the middle. And so there we have it, fading. It starts to fade away because you know what I need, you know what I want. And yeah, here we are, 5 o'clock. Let's eat dinner like we do every day, 5:05. Routine, patterns.
Right. Right. So I
Now
would
you said
agree.
unspoken expectations. I think
Absolutely.
that's a huge problem because I expect you to know what I need and
Mm,
what I'm missing, but I'm not going to tell you. But then I'm going to get upset when you don't give me what I need.
absolutely.
So absolutely. So what is your take on Jason? Who's responsible? You? Because you
I
promised me
love it.
love and romance.
I did. I
So
did.
so
I'm
you're
holding up my end of the bargain as
okay.
much as I can.
So who's responsible when the love fades?
No one's responsible, Dara.
You can't take
We
Veronica's
we
answer.
sharing this equally.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
no, that was
So
it. Because the first thing we go, well, when it fades, it has to be someone's responsibility because it
someone's fault,
faded,
right?
right?
Someone's fault.
No, we just kind of let this thing happen together, and
Yes.
it just happened. I mean, we're not. I'll say a buzzword. We're not intentional about our relationship, so it just happens. It just kind of goes into like nothing.
Fakeness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my take would be on the issues that happen. That so one, we have to stop playing the blame game, right? Because
Mhm.
as we stated, it's no one's responsibility and it's no one's fault. What happens is that we're not taught when we first get married what is required in marriage so that the love doesn't fade.
Yes.
So we have, as we spoke about, right, rewriting the narrative or write the narrative that you want. And part of that is education. So we always hear knowledge is power, but what knowledge? Right? So we know when we get a new car, people always say, well, make sure you get the oil changed and make sure that you wash it, or make sure you keep it clean, or make sure you get your tune-ups right. Like those things are always said when we get a vehicle, right? When we go to
Mm-hmm.
school, we tell our kids, well, make sure you study hard, make sure you spend time to do this. So we're constantly feeding ourselves things that we're supposed to do that we don't even realize as knowledge, but no one is talking about that when it comes to marriage. No one says, hey, when you say I do, don't forget the love is gonna fade, so don't let the love fade, or be knowledgeable that the fact that, as you said, when endorphins die down and we get into a routine and we get into a pattern, that we're comfortable with each other,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
But to me, part of that comes from being able to not only recognize it, but being able to step up and do our part with communication,
Right.
right? We talk about communication is key, but part of that communication is when we know that we're in the wrong, when we've done something, and being being the bigger person to recognize and apologize for it, that also helps so that the love doesn't fade, because that shows that you support me, that you're mature enough to recognize your faults, that you're standing up to it, that you love me enough to accept where you may have gone wrong. Not saying that it could have been a big thing or a little thing, but just recognizing the fact that, okay, I may have done something that may not have been to the best interest of my relationship. So I apologize for it. When we do that, we're letting our mate know that we love them. That is an unspoken thing, that we love them, right?
Yeah, right,
And
for
so
sure.
that, to me, understanding that knowledge in relationships and in marriage are so crucial. So let's stop just leaving it to chance.
Right.
Let's stop
Well,
leaving it, because when we do leave it to chance, that's what happened. Love fades.
right, but like I like to say is, if we knew better, we would do better.
Absolutely.
We're only doing to the best of our ability.
Exactly.
No one's taught us anything.
Yep.
I didn't learn this
Yep.
from my past, what I've seen. I mean, I gathered my likes and dislikes, but I wasn't taught like, okay, this is a stage, this stage. No, it wasn't. It's like when I got to that stage, I was in it, and I was learning. I didn't know
Right.
anything
Well, you were on
beforehand,
the
right?
job. You were on the job training.
Yes.
Yes.
And I adapted to these
Yes.
situations when I got into them, right?
So Veronica, jump in anytime. So what are your thoughts about that?
No, yeah, I think you're both right on point with that. And there, I was thinking about this is something I'm calling the comfort zone syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's a lot of what happens. And if you're not actively being in tune, you said communication, and we can call that several things. Just being in tune, just sitting down, having conversations with your significant other.
Right.
Hey, what do you need now? What can we do differently? Let's just talk about it. Let's converse, share ideas, and then implement a plan. So, absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's see. Vicky has finally finished writing. Whomever is feeling unloved and keep it within themselves instead of discussing your need to your spouse is responsible. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Also, both need to be aware of marriage happiness. Both are responsible. Vicky changed her answer from last week.
Yeah, because last
Vicky,
week it was.
Vicky, is that your answer or Earl's? No.
Because last week it's his fault.
Right.
Yeah, it was Earl's fault.
It still is Earl's fault. We know, Vicky. We know. Absolutely. So definitely, as you stated, Veronica, right? That communication. And Vicky comes in. Well, you have to discuss it, right? If you're feeling a certain type of way in your relationship, unloved being one of them, if you don't, express that to your mate. How are we supposed to know, right, Veronica? As you said, unspoken
Expectations.
expectations.
Yeah, you don't know.
Absolutely.
Right.
You're thinking that your mate knows that you're unhappy. They're like, what's the problem?
Right.
Right? So what do you say to couples when in dealing with unspoken expectations, right? How do we deal with those things? Because sometimes we do just for some reason think our mates are going to read our mind. They're going to know.
Well, you should know. I married you, and you know so
Thank
much
you.
about me.
Thank
So
you.
I just
Absolutely.
assume that if I'm not feeling a certain way or something, I'm upset about something, that you would know. I don't have to verbally tell you.
Right, that's what people assume, right?
Right, and this is where the problems come in. But
Yeah.
She didn't even ask me how my day went. Can she tell that when I walked in
Thank
that
you.
I'm upset? Right, so we're in an argument over nothing because of something about the way that I feel because something happened earlier in the day because we never discussed it. So she's like, okay, well
Absolutely.
maybe you just need to be left alone. I'll leave you alone. So, and again, we're not having a communication about it.
No,
We're
absolutely.
just letting it happen. We'll just give them their space. So.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so
Yeah.
go ahead, Veronica.
Yeah, no, and I think it starts with to thine own self be true, which
Hmm.
means that let me be clear on what it is I need in this moment. Let me be clear on what I'm feeling. Because a lot of times we can't communicate with each other if I don't even know where I am. So I need
Right.
to take my own temperature, what's really going on with me, and let me make sure I'm not projecting to my mate because that's a
Right.
real big thing. Something happened at work and I'm coming home and I'm going
Yep.
off on you, and it's not even about you. So let me be clear first. Where am I at?
Absolutely.
What's going on? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when we talk about unspoken expectations, how huge in a relationship would you say that plays? How huge of a part does that play?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's, and you guys already know this, I'm sure it's a large part, right? Because it's all of these things, and they don't come just from the marriage, they come from every other relationship we've been in. They come from childhood, they come from everything. And there is something called core beliefs, and that's how we're operating. This is how I believe love looks. This is how I believe love is. This is what joy is. This is what you should do, I should do. Expectations, right? That I carried with me, and nobody, so now I want you to validate them because I know it because I've been holding this, right? So it's carried. They're the little people and they're with us. So yeah.
Okay. So I know you said it reminded you of a couple that was going tit for tat. So how did they? Because we do play the blame game.
For sure.
We play
Mhm.
Right.
because we're often not adult enough to say, "Oh, let me just handle this or express or communicate it." And I say adult enough because when we do the blame game, we act like children.
Yeah.
Right? Well,
Absolutely.
you didn't do this, so I didn't do that. You forgot to do this, so then that's why this didn't happen.
Yeah.
So
We
so
experienced
what
that with a couple. Yeah, a few people, but yeah.
so
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
so how do you get them to recognize and see, wait, okay, it's your turn. Okay, do you understand we're going back and forth, right? We're playing tennis now. So how do you get them to understand, recognize what they're doing, and to just kind of like, hey, this is not going to get anywhere. I think Veronica
Veronica.
froze. Is that us, Veronica? Because I hope you're not talking because you're frozen.
I think she is. Yeah. We'll just go ahead and bring her back
Okay.
in when she comes in. I think she's frozen. Yep.
Veronica, I don't know if you can hear us, but you are frozen. So we're gonna wait for Veronica's answer,
Yeah.
and because she does counseling with in relationships and with couples, so we're gonna get her take on it.
Okay.
Oh, okay, all right,
We're
okay,
back.
Veronica. All
Yeah.
right, all right, all right.
There we go. So I said, we'll just stay here. So now, one more time. Here we go.
So I don't know if you heard all of Tina's question.
Did you hear it? Veronica, I think you're frozen again.
Yep. She went back out. Yep. Well, I'll just have her to go out and come back in.
Okay, so Veronica, if you can hear us, can you remove her?
No, I don't want to forcibly remove her. So
Okay.
I'll just wait. So when she comes up, I'll just tell her to go out and come back
Okay, Veronica, can you hear us?
in. Yeah. Just
Okay.
go out and come back in.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go out and come back in. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So guys, we do apologize, and that's technology.
There you
that's
go.
that's even when we're not that happens when we're next to each other. So it is what it is. But understanding that that one, in relationships, we shouldn't play the blame game, because it's no one's responsibility. It's no one's fault, I should say.
Right.
Because if we're not taught and we don't know, and as you said, those core beliefs, we believe this, this, and this, and then it leads to, well, I thought that, you know, we were going to always be in love, or I thought that it was your responsibility to make sure I feel loved, or
Right.
it was you are supposed to make me happy. So all of those things that add up to the sum thing of how we play the blame game. So Veronica, did you remember the question?
Go ahead. One more time for me.
Okay, I think I said, so how do you get couples to, one, recognize that they're playing the tit for tat, and two, that there's no winner in the tit for tat, right? So how do we get
How do you
past
stop
this?
them? Yeah. How do you stop them?
Yeah, absolutely. And so even last night, I almost was about to get up and get them up and have them switch seats so that you can kind of, you sit where he's sitting and she sits where you're sitting. And so then I just kept repeating. I said, okay, so
Right.
you sit, and I mimicked. I really did. I mimicked what they were saying. Oh, so it's her fault. Oh, I agree. You're right. It is her fault. And then now she's going to say it short. And I kept just kind of, I had to do symbolism, because sometimes people don't hear themselves. So you have to repeat it back to them. Did you hear what you said? Oh, okay. And then I said, how helpful is how helpful is all of this? Well, and then I said, just be silent. Just think about it. How helpful is this process for you? Don't answer, silent. And then they said, well, I guess it's not. So then you're trying to bring a realization, right? Repeating, letting people hear themselves. That's it.
Absolutely.
And you know what? That's funny, because that's something I said last week, that
Mm.
we're talking, but no one's hearing each other.
Absolutely.
So we think we're communicating, and we are.
Thank you.
But
Thank
no
you.
one's. It's not. It's just bouncing around off of each other. No one's really grasping anything.
You know, it
Absolutely.
just surprises me that as much as we talk, and as much information is out there, how it gets past us. You know,
Well,
how
it gets
you know
past.
how people still, we can, as I said before, right? We can verbatim say these cliches, right?
That-
Communication is
that's what I'm
key,
about to say.
and then people have no idea what that means.
Because
right?
it's a buzzword, right? It sounds good. It's
Yes.
communication is key. We need to get more connected and have intimacy and all sorts of. But we're not really saying anything, because
Yeah.
when it's time to practice all those things,
Absolutely.
we don't do quite well. Because, like, you know what, we know communication is key, and then it's time you got a problem, and everybody shuts up. You're like,
Thank
"I'm
you.
mad." And we're not talking for days. Well, that's not
Right.
being using communication skills. So
Yeah. You said the key, practice, right?
yeah, right.
Absolutely.
And that's the whole thing. All right, Vicky's back.
All right. I think some couples have a conversation within themselves, assuming.
Yes.
Right. We
Yes.
have to ask for a discerning spirit. We have to transform our minds daily, turn negative thoughts to positive thoughts, ask God why you are thinking the way you are. Absolutely. And so, Vicky, with the knowledge of God, right? So, and I know we talked about this before. What in addition are we doing to educate ourselves in marriage?
Right.
Right? So the key with anything, if we're okay,
We have to assume that we're wrong, right? Or we have to say that we're wrong for that to work, right? But if I feel that I'm right, then
this is
I-
real
I'm
life,
not-
guys. I'll
I'm
be
not
right back.
looking- I'm not looking for anything. So so that's good, and it makes a lot of sense, because I can see where you're going with that, Vicky. Let me put that back up on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, have conversation with themselves. I do that a lot. I'll have a conversation, know how everything's gonna go, think that I told Tina how I was feeling and all this other stuff, and then I'll get home and I'll be talking to him like, I talked to you about this. And she goes, well, you didn't say anything to me about it. I'm like, I'm sure I did, but yeah, I had a conversation in my head in the car on the way home, but I never verbalized that when I got in front of her.
Yes.
So, and
Mm-hmm.
again, that can cause issues. So yeah, you have to do that. But again, I have to decide on accept responsibility. So I
Mm-hmm.
have to be saying that, hey, look, I'm doing something that's not, correct. I need to try to transform. Easily said than done, because
Yes.
habits are habits, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
habits don't want to let go once they got it. Once these are my habits, I fall back on these things, these routines and things. So it's hard to let go. But I do understand what you're saying, Vicky. I do. Um, uh, uh, yeah, I have to agree with you on that. So, what does it look like when we have a healthy partner that enjoys life? I mean, that's a start, right? We have to be able to, um, enjoy life with our partner. And that's one thing that I think a lot of people have problems with, not really enjoying life with their partner. So, I'm just waiting for Veronica to come back in. Veronica, give me a thumbs up when you get. Okay, yep, you're back in. Okay, you're back. I think. Nope, she fell back out again. Well, we're having some technical difficulties today, which is interesting. So yeah, so find a partner that you can enjoy life with, and and just kind of be with. I mean, that's part of it. That's part of how you don't let the love fade, because if you're enjoying life, life is good, and you don't really have any that many issues. So, all right, Veronica, I think is almost back. There we go. All right, I see. Well, we're having some technical difficulties today, huh?
I know. It just put me backstage all on its own. So I was about to jump in and I was like, okay, I'm backstage. So here we are. Prayerfully. I was just going to say, Jason, I think Vicky brings up a really good point about doing the individual work.
Mhm.
You know, she talked about having a discerning spirit, about our thought process. And so, even though we're in marriages, I think sometimes, or relationships, we have to remember that we're still individual works, right? And we have our responsibility to do our individual work at all times. Our thoughts, our feelings, that's on us. That's not on you. My partner cannot do my work for me. And so Vicky brings up a very valid point about that.
Yeah, that's true. They can't, and they can't. Your partner can't make you happy either.
No, no.
All right. So that when we say the love phase, I mean it's a two-way street here. So it's not that your partner's responsibility to make you happy. They can do their part in the relationship, but it's not
Mhm.
theirs to make you happy. So it's a two-way street. So I was just
Abs-
talking about one of the ways to help or stop love from fading is to enjoy each other and
Mm,
enjoy life with each other. A lot
mhm,
of times we get married and then we're just two individuals in a
mhm,
relationship.
mhm.
And when that happens, love fades.
Yes,
So
absolutely, absolutely.
whether
You're
it
right.
be whether it be work or whatever it may be, self-interest, things of that nature. So we just
Mhm.
have to get better at spending quality time
Thank
with
you.
one another. And I
Thank
think
you.
that's another problem, because if you're always together, or if you, for a man, I know, oh,
Mhm.
you're always with your wife, or you need to be stronger,
Mhm.
stand on your own 2 feet, and
Yeah.
things. How society pressure is.
Mhm.
Can you maybe kind of speak to, like, what could be some of the benefits of spending that good quality time together? Not just busy time, but some quality time.
Oh, for sure. You know, I keep using examples like, the pastor uses all these examples, but I have to go back to my couples
Hmm.
because I had a couple and that was one of the, you come and you think it's this big explosive thing. And when I got to the core of what the husband really needed, he said, you know what? I just don't feel needed. She
Mm.
goes, she does all of this stuff with her girls, and she was more social than he was. So she had all these networks and these people to do things with. She never asked me to go anywhere with her. That was it. He became so meek and humble. And that's what he wanted from her. Ask me sometimes. She says, well, I don't think you'll say yes. He said, well, could you ask me?
Mm.
You just ask. Right. And so that was their homework. Ask him to go anywhere. I don't care if it's an ice cream cone. Ask him to go somewhere with you. Well, she opened the door, asked that, and the next time they came on, his whole demeanor was different, right? So
Mm-hmm.
just making sure that you're incorporating your spouse, because you said a powerful thing is that we start doing all this individual stuff, right?
Yeah.
With my girls, and girl, don't get me wrong, girls' nights, guys' nights, that's amazing. But when that takes over and then there's no one-on-one time because it's girls' night 2 nights a week, and then it's my sister's nights, and then it's church night, you know what I mean? What
Yeah.
happens to the quality time? And you're right. That's the key. A lot of times when couples come, that's the first thing I say, date night. What happened to it? And everybody's got a reason. Overtime, kids, everything, right? Money, don't give me the money one. Never tell me money, because date night does not have to have any money involved. You can get a blanket and go sit on someone's grass in the park and eat grapes. There you go.
I am with you 100%. But you know what's funny? For years, I fought date night. I thought it was a waste
Mm,
of time. Now, I dated Tina a lot. We did a lot of things before we got married and soon after we got married. But once we got married and things got real, kids came, bills, all this other stuff, I just didn't find it to be important to go out on a date and spend money. I didn't want to
yes.
spend money. I felt like it was a waste of time. We could just sit around the house if we're going on a date, right? So then we had to end up changing. So
Hmm.
All
later
right.
on, later on, I started saying, you know what, it's important because for years she had asked, Jason, we need to go to date night. I'm like, oh, well, we could just cook dinner and sit at the table.
Sorry, guys. I know
Then
this
we
is so
then
crazy.
then we started doing date night.
Yes.
So I hate to interrupt you,
Yep.
but you need to get upstairs. Your dad's upstairs.
Oh, okay.
So I said I would come and take over the show. Boy, if anything, it's one of those times.
He
So
drove
go,
all the way out.
yeah. So
Okay.
go see your dad, and
All
I'm
right.
gonna handle the show. So Veronica,
Yay!
all right.
I'll be
So
back.
he'll be back. So where are we at? Like I never left.
Yeah, yeah. So we got, it was great. Jason brought in this whole idea of quality time and how
Hmm.
that's one of the things that can keep this fade from happening, right? And so we started talking a little bit about date night and how those things are important about spending time together, because everything will pull you away, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Girls'
Every
night, boys' night, everybody's night, but date night.
so this is a part of life, right? It's always when you have something to do. It's always got to be able to shift and change, even with being live or even in relationships. So
Yeah.
I know we were talking about it. So just to get back to what is some of the advice that you give couples so that the love doesn't fade, or so that when they find themselves in a position where they're either playing the blame game, playing tit for tat, or they're trying to make sure that the road that they're going down does not lead to divorce. What are some of the tips that you give couples to work with?
Yeah, absolutely, Tina. So, and one of the basic things, and I know people are so tired of hearing it, but keeping the dialogue going, keeping a conversation. Can you set aside once a week, 15 minutes, a little bit longer if you could, just to have a catch up? Okay. This is where we are. This is how my week was. This is what we want to do. I call that like the reset, right? After a
Right,
long week, you may not even have had time because dinner is out the window for a lot of people, that old fashioned sit down dinner, and
right,
they
right,
make
right.
time.
People don't even know
But
what that is anymore.
right,
Right.
absolutely, absolutely. So just create some time to touch bases with each other. Let's just call it that, right? And
Hmm.
then everything else moves from that. And the big one is the update. So we talked about this before. You're not the same Tina that you were January
Absolutely.
2020, and neither is Jason. So kind of give me an update, significant other of mine. Let me know what you still like, what matters to you. What do you need from me? That's our favorite therapeutic question. What do you need from me? Right?
That's
Not what I need
fantastic.
from
That's
you.
fantastic. Exactly. Exactly. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. And the question is, do we do that, right? Do we
Right.
even think enough of our mate to say, and these headphones don't want to stay in, okay? It's just like one of those nights.
You got
What do you need from me?
it.
Absolutely. And so when you're giving this information to couples, how do they usually receive it?
So there can be a receptivity,
Mm-hmm.
right? Initially, particularly in the session, because we need to have good faith showing. And I know you know this as well too. When people are in front of a provider, it's good faith showing. But that's
Mm-hmm.
why it's called homework. So then there's accountability to each other, not me, to each other. But this is your assignment. This is something that we need you to work. And when you come back next week, let's talk about how it went. And so then that's when that's when the rubber hits the road, when you get out of my door. I tell them all the time, on this couch is easy. It's your
Right.
couch that I'm concerned about, right? So
Wonderful.
yeah, there you go. So yeah.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So, do you find that when couples play the blame game,
Mhm.
right? When we play the blame game, when does it usually start? And I mean in a relationship, where do we usually start with the blame game? Like what year and what usually are the most causes of the blame game?
Right. So it probably is when that honeymoon phase is over, right? We can,
Mm-hmm.
because, we're really into each other and we're really connected. And I see no evil, hear no evil when we're initially connected. This happens in dating relationships. Once all this get to know you is over and we get to the core of who you are, then it's like, well, wait a minute. It's easy to do that. Why do we even do blaming though? It's from a place of insecurity that nobody ever wants to
Absolutely.
admit, right? I'm not
Absolutely.
really sure. I don't know where my trust is. So it's easy for me to kind of start taking my stuff. Here, you take this. That's blame. It's here. You take my stuff. That's what blame
Mm-hmm.
is, right? And so then when you got your honeymoon, first 2, 3 years is all good. But then I'm starting to see more, and I'm not really sure how I need to deal with what you're bringing, right? I didn't see this when we were dating. And so now I'm
Right.
feeling vulnerable, and vulnerability is the foundation of blame, right?
Absolutely.
So that's where we are in those formative years of a relationship, when you got to keep still taking care, still nurturing the relationship and nurturing each other, so that we don't feel like we're exposed, right? Cocooning our relationship, cocooning each other, and giving safe space to share what you need to say to me. That will get rid of blame. Blame is when I don't feel like you hear me or see me
Absolutely.
or trust me. Right.
That those are all very good points. Definitely, when we know that we're you don't I don't think you hear me, right? And
Mhm.
so, going back to the couple, just going back to any couple,
Right.
when we communicate, right? So Jason is I would will often say it's not just communication is key, but effective communication, and it's
Mm.
understanding how to communicate, because again, these are things that are assumed growing up, right? When you're in school, we don't, unless you're taking a speech class and they're telling you how to present yourself, we're not really taught how to communicate effectively. We
Mm-mm.
just grow up communicating from taking cues from everything and everybody around us. Hey, this is how my mom communicates. This is how my dad communicates. This is how I'm going to communicate. This is how people communicate to me. So we're never really actually sure as to what and how we should communicate. So, what
Mhm.
are some communication tips that you would give people when we're trying to make sure that we're communicating with each other, that I hear you and you hear me, that we're both on the same page, moving in the same direction?
And you just said the key word. It's the one letter word, I, using I statements, right? As opposed to you, I feel this, I feel that. Don't be afraid to share what you're feeling, or
Mm-hmm.
I am thinking something. And then the avoiding words, always and never. When you say always and never, it's about to be something about to happen that you may not want, right? So when you imagine you and always together, danger, right?
I'm speaking right here from experience. When I say those two words together, I can
Mhm.
see his whole temperament change.
Isn't that
You
something?
always, and
Mhm.
I can. It's that shift.
There you go.
Instead of learning to, as you said, let me restate this from the
Mhm.
I statement, right?
That's right. That's absolutely, absolutely. So language, and that it seems so simple, but we make it complex. It's not. Just take a look at what you're saying, and it's okay to pull it back, right? It's okay to pull it back. What I meant to say was, you got to learn it. You got to practice it, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Effective. You said the key word, and listening to hear, not to respond. Half the time in our relationship dialogues, I don't even hear what you say, because I'm trying to come up with what I'm going to say back to you. right? Listen. That's like a lot of the exercises that we do. We have people parrot what they heard back. Because are you really hearing what the person just said to you? Because if you did, then you'd be able to respond to what they said, not to what you thought they said, right? So yeah.
Yeah, and oftentimes what we find is even in parenting, right? Even when we ask people to,
Mhm.
repeat what your partner just said,
Mhm.
again, and they're trying to hurry up and say it so they can still get to their point,
I love it.
right?
Yeah.
So we
Mhm.
have to make sure in the process of us listening that and then repeating what we're hearing, that there's a time to speak and there's a time to listen. And
Yes.
so often we're so anxious to respond that we're not even digesting, as you said, right? We're not digesting exactly what your partner is saying, or even what sometimes what we may find out is that we don't have clarity in what they're saying. So how can we
Absolutely.
respond to something if we're not even actually sure what they're saying, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You got it. Yeah.
and and so I'm gonna, normally my technician is here, so Cleo Woods is with us, and I'm just gonna say hi, Cleo. So Jason, for you guys who may have just tuned in, we had some unexpected company, so I had to step away, and then Jason just stepped away, so he should be back shortly. I guess it was his parents, and they don't know we do a Friday night live, so so here he is back in the studio. Cleo just chimed in and said, "Hey T," or
Oh,
"Hey."
all right. Oh, I left you. I forgot. You don't normally
I,
control it.
I
I left
get
you.
it, but I was
You
She
watching,
did a
did.
baby. I
You
great
was
did.
job.
I
watching.
appreciate that. Look
You
at
did a
All
you.
right.
great job.
So we were getting back to the communication, and I know that effective way. It's, we talk about let me talk and you listen. One of the techniques that Jason and I learned and has established in our coaching is
Mhm.
that give each person the floor. Right?
Yeah.
So
I
now you
love
you have the
it.
floor, so that not only are you in listening mode and now you're going to repeat back to me what I just said, but you're going to give me a chance to the person who's speaking to continually speak, right? I'm going to give you how I feel in little chunks that you can digest, because sometimes we when you tell people, well, go ahead, talk, it's like diarrhea of the mouth, right? They just right.
Mhm,
And so
mhm.
the person who's listening is sitting back going, okay, where do I start? Where
Thank
do I
you.
start to repeat what you just said? So we have to digest it. It's like food. We can't eat a sandwich just a whole. Well, some people may be able to, but I hope not. Right? We don't take a burger or a steak and we just throw the whole thing in our mouth and then it's gone. We have to
Absolutely.
have, yeah, we have to be able to have chewable bites. So part of effective communication for us is chewable bites. Let me say how I'm feeling, and
Mhm.
then let you repeat it back to me. Then let me continue so that I know that I am fully being heard before
Yes.
I'm giving you the opportunity to respond. Because
Love,
sometimes if we just listen, then the response that we were initially going to give is not even necessary.
Yeah. Well, if we
love it.
listen, we'll
Yeah,
probably can get out of
absolutely.
some of this mess. But
I
so,
love it.
I
I
mean, I'm
love
just
it.
saying.
So
No.
what did Cleo say? Yes, don't finish my sentences. Listen to me, need that technique.
Yes. Yeah. And it
I love
works.
it.
Yes,
I
yes,
love it.
absolutely, absolutely. Because it slows down the conversation. And
Yes.
it's meant to not only slow it down, but let's put our defenses away. Let's we're not on defense, we're not on offense. Let's kind of
Mhm.
understand that this effort that we're doing is in partnership.
Yes.
As we stated before, most of the time the things that we're talking about are issues that we can resolve if we just listen to one another, that
Mhm.
really aren't that big. Or as you mentioned earlier, it doesn't even have anything to do with you. It has to do with the person at work that
Mhm.
made me upset and pissed
Thank
me
you.
off, and now I'm projecting onto my mate, right?
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
Another thing that
Absolutely.
we go by: healthy partners show genuine respect from one another,
Mhm.
Absolutely.
and you can, like,
Absolutely.
just we can disagree. That's fine.
Yep.
But
Yep.
we can also do it with respect. So a lot
Yes.
of times we don't
That's
always show the respect when we disagree, and that causes problems because you don't want to, you don't mind disagreeing, but then it's like, well, you don't respect me, and then that takes that feeling to a whole nother level. If the person that I love does not show me respect or show
Yes.
that they respect me, then I'm really upset now. So it's hard to communicate with somebody that doesn't feel love or respected.
Or it takes the
Thank you.
we're now looking at our mate as someone who we don't love, and now we're communicating and talking to them in a fashion unlovable, right? Something
Yeah.
that you would not typically say to your mate. So being
Hmm.
able to effectively communicate. So Veronica, share with us, you know, some of the things that you do with couples that can help them to just communicate better, learn each other better, because you talked about learning the mate you're with now, right?
Yeah.
Talking about who you're with, or just in general, what couples can kind of do to make sure that they're on the right track.
Absolutely. And there's something called a leveling position that I definitely enforce or endorse during a session, but it's easy to do it at home. You get your chair, and it needs to be a chair, not a couch, so you can face each other. So two chairs, you in one, I'm in one. Then you come in very close together, and you're actually, the knees touch, right? So there's that touch, sense of touch, because we don't do that all the time.
Right.
Hold hands, eye contact, leveling. So now we're at the same level, and now we can have whatever conversation we want to have, but it's eye to eye. You see this. Isn't it amazing how many couples cannot look each other in the eye?
I thought it was just
And
me.
it's not just, that's a very
Yeah.
hard
Yes.
thing. That is a very
We did
hard
that
thing.
exercise, and boy,
Yes,
it was
yes.
surprising.
It was. It's not only that, but as you said, touch.
Right.
We get away from touch.
Yeah.
Touch is, and I think it's one of our things back here. Touch is so important in a relationship. And when it goes, we don't even realize that that's the main thing that we're missing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The touch from your mate can spark up something, that has laid dormant for a long time,
I
Hmm.
love
right?
it. I love
Yes.
it.
So
Mhm.
yes, and it's very hard. It's, look, as you said before, looking eye to eye. I know we
Mhm.
had a couples retreat, and that was one of the exercises, and it's
Really? Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
extremely it's extremely hard to look your mate, and I guess because we look past each other, as you
So
said,
much we
once
do.
once the love kind of fades away, or once the endorphins go away, and we start
Mhm.
noticing things that we didn't notice before, right?
Right.
Right. Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Have you always done that? Have you,
Right.
right? The things that, it's so funny.
Right.
We had one woman, one person say, when they laughed, the jiggling of their belly was funny. Now it's not funny anymore, right?
Okay. Mhm. I
It's the
got you.
little things
I got you.
It was
when
funny
those
till it wasn't.
endorphins, those love
Thank you.
endorphins, when they cloud our view, and then the true person
Mhm.
steps up. What are we doing? So
Yes, absolutely. That's so
so
true.
so do you find that to be, I know you have. So how do and, what have couples said to you about, looking each other in the eye and not truly being able to complete that?
Yeah, and so they don't really know. I don't think they're even aware. You know how things just become subconscious for you? I don't
Uh-huh.
think they even realize that they can't maintain the eye contact until they're actually doing that or talking to me. Just a simple thing. You're here, you talk to each other. It's not, I'm
Exactly.
just asking the questions. You talk to, and they'll back to me, because no, 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 tell her what you just want to tell me, right? So just really back to basics, talking to each other, right? Yeah. Eye contact, talk, touch. I was going to say, because when we say the love fades, I will be so curious to know what people even think about that term, love fades, because once again, research again is thinking people go to passionate love. And we're not talking about that. We're talking about
Mm-mm.
the companionship, intimacy, not physical, just a sense of belonging. When I want to be sitting like this, or when I can just sit with you and do nothing, right? And just we
Hmm.
can just be. That's what we're
Yep,
talking about.
absolute,
Just
absolutely.
be.
That's when it fades. Yeah. That's when you know if you don't have it there. Go
And
ahead.
I no, I had a comment where she was saying that she was talking, and it just completely, and I wanted to
Well, we got
mention it,
a
but I know
we got a nice comment here.
okay.
Okay.
So
Oh wow.
Hey Kelly, thanks for joining us. Hey,
hi,
it's been a while.
Kelly.
Hey, glad to see you.
Talking is like a tennis match. Yes,
Ping, ping,
sometimes
ping, ping.
conversation is an ebb and a flow back and forth. Taking care to listen. Yes, don't interrupt and wait to speak when it's your turn, or when you understand when it's your turn. Absolutely. So, Kelly, we got to use a pen and tell them, okay, it's your
Okay,
turn.
it's the flow, and it's It's one thing at a time. Get your point across one point at a time. So when it's your turn to speak, you can't water hose them with all your concerns, right? You hit them with one concern, make sure that you understand that, then you go to the other concern.
Okay, it says repeat what your partner is saying at times when you are not understanding what they are trying to convey. And ask, this is what I heard you say, right? This is not what I think you said, but this is what I heard you say. Please help me to understand, or let me help you understand what I'm trying to convey.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now,
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
go ahead.
Before I forget again, I don't mind.
I'm not gonna say
I was just going to say,
Oh, I think you forgot again.
what okay, I'm gonna read Kelly's thing again. As this is what I hear you say, please help me understand, or let me help you understand what I'm trying to say. See, now we're talking about other things, but it came to me. Oh, go ahead, Jason. I don't
Okay.
know why this one comment
Now,
just want.
now, I like everything that Kelly has said, and all of that is true. Now, when you're upset
Oh, that's what I was gonna
and
say.
you're
Yep.
and you're in the moment, are we practicing that?
That's
when you
Yep. That's
when you're not trying to hear what your mate is saying, but they're trying to convey to you how they really feel, but you're not feeling that.
See, he heard my thoughts. He took it up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Is
exactly
that what came in? I was like,
yes.
where did this come from?
Right.
But I
It
caught
skipped me and went to you.
Okay.
That's
I
exactly what I
love
was gonna
it.
say.
I love it.
So yeah, and this is a teachable moment, I'll say, because this is good. This is what we should be striving for in
The heat of the moment.
the heat of the moment when we're not at our best per se, right? So when we're upset, temperatures have risen some, elevated, and our voices are maybe elevated or gotten some bass in it. Can we still do this?
Or our feelings are involved.
Right.
And so that's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say we are, again, back to the cliche. We can repeat what we should do.
Right.
And we know what we should do.
Right.
But how hard is it to do it?
I can tell you it's
Right?
hard. Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
As we said, we can tell people time and time again, communication is key. Communication is key. But how come the easy things to do are so hard to do, right? Because that's when our ego gets involved.
Right.
That's when our feelings are involved.
And that
that's
emotion.
when that blame game gets involved,
Right.
right? So it's
Or you push my buttons, get involved. and it's
exactly,
like- so,
exactly.
yeah.
It's knowing the things to do, but doing them at the right time. And
Great
being
comment,
able to,
Kelly. I
yes,
just
yes.
found a way to just kind of pick at it, but that was a great comment.
Absolutely, and that's true. That's very much true. That is a very effective way to communicate. However, like I said, we know what to do. We don't always just exercise the things to do at the right time.
Right.
So that's when we have to know when our feelings are involved and we're upset and we're at a place where we're not willing to do that. That's when we have to take a moment to let's take a moment to regroup, to collect our own self.
Right.
Right? Because then sometimes when we don't do that, we end up saying things that we regret, or we end up saying things that are detrimental to our relationship instead of, helpful. And then we're trying to go back and try to explain later. It's hard to feel love for someone or to keep the relationship moving in the right direction once we've said something that now that person is now harboring that was really detrimental. So we have to be careful of the things that we say. I think a couple should never go to bed angry at each other. So Veronica, we're gonna take it to you. What do you think about that?
Oh, yeah, and that's an old adage that is so true, right? Because you just do not want that energy. But go to bed, wake up, wherever it is. I think anger is the key word here, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Being able to process it. I think we use that time of evening or whatever bedtime as symbolism. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Because can we process it? Can we try? Now, what if they don't want to? What if someone is clear? I don't want to talk about this. Then you got to think
Absolutely.
about how you want to deal with that as well. So,
And it's nothing wrong with time out. I mean, like, listen, you need time to process some things, right? And if it's not the time to talk, then fine. We need to come back and talk about it. Now, you can just say, hey, let's just separate and cool off for X amount of time. But we need to come back and still address this, not just say we're not going to talk about it because you don't want to talk about it right now.
Because what happens if one of you all or both of you all have to go to work the next day, right? What if life is there and it's late and you've had a disagreement and it's the wee hours already, right? And you guys have tried to reconcile it, and you haven't. And now both of you guys are frustrated. One person's more angry than the other, or you're realizing that, hey, this is just going back and forth, right? We're not getting anywhere. Now the other one person says, you know what, I need to get up in 4 hours. Now the conversation has even shifted even more. Now you're adding another dynamics to it, right? Now that person's getting upset because now they can't go to bed. You want to resolve something, but now may not be the time to resolve it.
And
So we have to,
and don't let the job be the issue. Be like, oh, so now you're gonna cut off me because you trying to get to the work tomorrow.
and that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
now we've added another thing to the conversation, another element that is again not helping it but harming it. So we have to be careful if
Yes.
both partners, and as we say, no marriage is there's no cookie cut marriage. Every marriage is different. And so whatever works in your marriage, let it work. But both people have to agree to it. It can't be, we have to, again, going back to the conversation, right? We have to agree in the beginning when there is no argument, when there are no tempers being,
Yes.
no elements raising us, when there's no anger, we have to be able to say, okay, let's agree that if a conversation comes up or disagreement, or
Mm-hmm.
argument, whatever you want to call it, right?
Right.
When it comes up, let's both agree that we will not go to bed angry. Because if I'm pushing the issue with Jason and we've never had the conversation, again, right? Unspoken expectations. If we've never had the conversation that we're going to discuss it before bed, and now I'm trying to make sure that it's discussed, and he's like, I don't want to talk,
No,
so
you're not gonna get the best version of me. That's for sure.
exactly. So we have to make sure that we're covering all bases in relationships. And what we have to realize is there's no one size fits all.
And I like that. I like what Veronica said about the key word in that was angry.
Absolutely.
We need to first kind of address the
The
whole
anger.
and how we get around it, because anger at any time is not good,
Right.
right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
And just being able, go ahead, Veronica.
No, I'm just saying dynamic keys. And I think all we've been saying tonight is the work, put the work behind the philosophical stuff. Because like you said, Tina and Jason, we know what to say. We know the key words, the buzzwords are everywhere. Communicate, be intentional, be mindful, all of that. But what does that mean to your individual marriage, like you said, and how are we practicing it? For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As you said, Veronica, practice is the key word. Practice, practice, practice. Kiss them goodnight anyway. Be the better.
Yes.
Yes.
You have
You,
to.
you know,
And there's nothing wrong with that, because you know what's going to benefit? It's going to benefit your relationship. It's going
Absolutely.
to benefit your marriage.
Absolutely.
So it's not a lose-win. It's a win-win because your relationship gets better.
and you know, Cleo, sometimes if you kiss them, they may not even know how to react.
Men
They-
are simple. You kiss us, we might
like-
lose a thought.
Yeah,
We're
that's
gone,
right. I don't even remember what we were arguing over. Exactly. That's what Vicky says. Sometimes doing
The
things
unexpected.
exactly
Yeah.
helps all the instead of just I'm gonna get it in. I'm gonna get it in. Somebody has to win.
Somebody mentioned last week. This was funny. We were having a
Yes, you
conversation.
should always ask if the discussion can be discussed later.
Yeah.
Definitely, Vicky.
Right.
Definitely. That's that 18 years of wisdom, Vicky.
And you know what it is? It's you're coming to an agreement. It's like, I don't want to talk about this. We'll talk about it later, and you walk away. That doesn't work,
No,
right? But
no.
if you guys can discuss and say, hey, listen, we're not getting anything resolved here. Can we just talk about this maybe tomorrow when you come in from work or whatever? And then that way we'll be okay. So it defers it off, and then you have a
And you
plan of
respect
action,
it, and you're respecting that
It's like
person.
both of you guys' decision. It's versus like, I don't want to talk about it. I'm done with this. I'm out of here.
And that's part of how marriages get dismantled because we're not respecting each other. We're doing to other people what we don't want done to us. So we
Right.
have to remember that respect is key as well. We have to respect our mate, their decisions, their feelings, and we don't want to do anything that's to the detriment of our relationship because that's what we want. We want our relationship.
Right. Great idea. Agreed. Thank you so much, Cleo. And so we're speaking with a couple this past weekend, and this was interesting. The gentleman came in. He had a pretty tough day at work, right? And she knew that he was kind of disturbed. And she just walked over to him and kissed him on the forehead. And it just like shocked him. He was just like, he was really puzzled. And then she just walked away. She just kissed him. and walked away.
And she said she didn't think anything of it,
But
but
he
she
was
knew, he had a hard day.
Yep.
And those, because of course if you
We're
have
wearing it. We're coming home with it. You can see
right,
we're physically drained.
and sometimes those emotions that Veronica,
Yep.
sometimes those emotions that we carry from work, like you said, right, we carry them into the home, and
Mm-hmm.
then we project them. But when we get to know our mate and we understand each other, we can do things to put out the fire instead of
Yes. Yes.
let's understand, or let's just helping them to relax and know that they're in a safe place, right? They're back home in love.
Mm-hmm.
Vicky says marriage is work. Yes,
Amen.
both have to work. I have to sign on Earl's side on Earl. No, she said sign on Earl's side of the bed.
I
Said
love
what? Oh, I have a sign on Earl's side of the bed. This bed
Listen.
says always kiss me goodnight.
I
All
love
right,
it.
all
Yeah,
right.
Tina don't
I
let me.
messed that up.
Yeah, Tina don't let me leave the house without giving her a kiss, no
I
matter what.
love it. Absolutely. Absolutely.
But we can't go to bed without him kissing me because
Yep,
sometimes
and
he be
sometimes
working
we need
late.
to table some stuff till the morning.
Absolutely, absolutely, right. But we
I,
know that the answer to that is just making sure that we're both on the same page, right?
mhm,
And
mhm.
that's, I think, if we can just understand that it's not when I want to discuss it. It's not because I'm upset and I think
Hmm.
I'm ready. I want to get it all out tonight. It's when we both are, in the same place and want to discuss it and want to resolve it. We can't force someone else to say, to stay in a place, because again, that's when things are said that shouldn't be said. We have to
That's
respect each other enough to know that, all right, let's be, mature enough, and let's love each
right.
other and respect each other enough to say,
Yep.
is it okay if we discuss this later, right?
Right. Right. And you don't have to agree. I think that's the other line where people, I don't want to talk about it because I'm on my side and this is my position, and that's fine. You don't have to agree with me. But what I do need you to do is to hear me and to respect my opinion. Right. And that's it. Feedback. That's all, we're giving each other information. So,
I
All
like
right.
that. We don't have to agree, and I think that's where we go wrong because we're trying to get the other person to agree or see their
Our point of
a
view.
point of
Our
view. And that's
mhm,
what I argue. You're not seeing what I'm saying. You're not understanding and that's
right.
fine. And
Right.
it can go on and on.
Nobody's ever said that to you, right?
No.
All right,
Of
just making
course
sure.
not. Of
No.
course
No.
not.
No.
Absolutely not. Because in the long term, I tell couples all the time, it's not you against me or me against you. It's us regarding an issue. That's all.
Absolutely. Vicky
It's not
says, great
personal.
point.
It's not personal. It's
Exactly.
not personal.
And we
Exactly.
have to remember that. Yeah, we have to remember that. But it's always, we always magnify the issue. The
Mhm,
issue is always the biggest thing.
mhm.
Instead of taking care of the person that we really love, this is the person that you chose to be with for the rest of your life, right? That's the most important thing, not the issue. The issue will come and go. You're going to be there with the person. So if you continue to love the person, I think you can get through any issue.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right. So I think that is a great conversation, Dewey. So for you all who may have tuned in late, the question of the day, Jason, do you want to? We're going to give you guys an opportunity to chime in if you want to before we close it out. So the question of the day is, who's responsible when love fades? And I just must say, it was a loaded question.
It
So,
was.
so if anyone else wants to chime in and give us your take on it, we're more than welcome to read it before we go off. But just remember that it's two in a relationship, and so we have to make sure that we don't have unspoken expectations, right? Communicate
Which
with
is
your
the
partner,
key.
right?
Yes.
And so Veronica, take us out. Oh, click back and see if anyone has any comments, and we're gonna give
Hmm.
them a few minutes. All right, so we'll give you a few minutes in case you guys. Kelly, would you like to chime in? Cleo, would you like to say anything? That's right. It's time to put the spotlight on you. So Cleo, who's responsible when the love fades? Right. So we're gonna put you guys on spotlight. So Jason, don't forget, if you have not subscribed to our channel, you can go to our YouTube channel, which is
Hmm.
Loving Beyond the I Do, or you can go to Legendary Relationship and hit the wonderful subscribe button. There you go, short. There you go.
That's our
Subscribe.
that's our YouTube channel there, Legendary Relationship. You can
Hey.
go there and subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. And also, if you like the conversation, share it. Right now, you can share this feed on your feed. Share it, like it. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for being part of the conversation. This is not the type of platform that we like where we're just preaching to you. This is a two-way conversation. We want to get your input. We want to be able to help you with your relationship. We want you to walk away with some tangible things and bring other things to the table so we can discuss them, because this is what we're missing in relationships.
We want to talk about relationships. We want to talk about the positives of relationships and educate ourselves on relationships, because we can't do what we don't know. And it's no shame in not knowing, right? You if you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
And so we're making it our job to be divorce busters and helping you get the knowledge that you want, right? Helping bring the information to you so that we can have better relationships, so that we can rewrite the story that was told and make sure that we have happy, healthy, and prosperous relationships, that we can be happy from day one to day 999.
That's right. We
Oh,
can. What's that?
What I was
It's one thing I want.
no, Veronica was saying something.
Okay,
We
go
didn't
ahead.
hear you,
No, no, no,
Veronica.
I'm good. I'm good. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Oh no, I was going to say, I know we talked about it on the podcast. What is one of the number one things that's coming up with couples nowadays that they're having an issue with? And I thought it was money, and he's like, nope, I don't think it's money. But what is the number one thing that you've been seeing across the board that couples are going through?
I think it's time. It's time. People are everybody's very familiar with love language conversation now, and quality time. That's why when we hit on that for a minute, that's one of the things that keeps the fade from going away. But we just don't have time to be together anymore, right? So it's getting back to that whatever amount of time, 15 minutes, 10 minutes. Yeah. Time.
Yes, absolutely.
Quality time that this is dedicated to us. I know, we like to meditate.
I love it.
Together.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yes.
it gets us into the right frame of mind, and us being in the same room together. Although we're doing our own individual work, we're still in the same space. So
Yes.
we
Yes.
find ourselves just when we come out of meditation, we find ourselves closer.
Thank
It's
you.
just like we just had a 15-minute conversation, but we didn't speak a word. So I know it works. I know that it's work like that you have to put in if you truly love your relationship and you want it to be a good and flourishing relationship.
And
Not
as Vicky said, it's work. It's
Right,
work.
right.
And it doesn't have to be
Unspoken
hard work.
No.
It just has to require us to do the work, right? And so the better we get at it, the easier it becomes. And when we're
Yes.
at a place where when we are finally at a place in our relationship where we're knowledgeable and we understand the things that need to be done, it becomes easier. It's like maintaining your house. Once it's clean, right? You know the things that you have to dust here, vacuum here, do the
Yes.
things that you have to do to maintain your car, your home, whatever, your lifestyle. Right? It's the same thing in marriage. Once we understand and we're spreading the knowledge and we're helping people to understand that marriage is not a nasty word, right?
No.
You know, a lot
Absolutely.
of people look at it as that, right? We don't have to lose the love and the intimacy and the touch and the eye contact and the connection. We don't have to lose it. And so that's what this conversation in this platform is about, helping us spread the word. So again, as Jason said, go subscribe to our channel. All you have to do, you don't even have to make a comment. So when this comes up on your feed, just share it. You never know who is looking for that word, who is looking for help in
And
their
when
marriage.
Right. And when you share it, it's only going to resonate with the people that need to resonate with.
Right.
Yeah.
So this
Yes.
conversation isn't for everyone, because everyone's not the same space. But the people that's in this space and that's looking for something, that want to move to the next level,
That
we're-
wants to know that
we're here.
marriage
They're
can be.
seeking
Yeah.
knowledge, right? Knowledge
Absolutely.
and understanding on how I want a happy marriage. I want to be happy when I come home. I don't want to
Yes.
have any issues, right?
Let's see if we have any comments. If
Not yet, we don't. But I do
Okay.
want to talk about don't forget, the Love and Beyond the I Do podcast comes out every Wednesday. It's a weekly podcast, so get it wherever you get your podcast delivered, or you can just go to legendaryrelationship.com and you can get all of our information right there. We get our ebook, you get our
Podcast,
course, our
you-
podcast,
yes.
and anything else. I think we're going to soon put up there for coaching sessions up there. So it's just a lot of different things going on. So You can get all of our Friday Night Lives, our YouTube for the podcast.
Everything that's going on with Jason and Tina Marie.
That's true. And we got a lot.
And you can see all of our wonderful guests. So
Yeah.
Veronica was gracious enough to be on this week's podcast that came out
Yes.
Wednesday, episode number 112, which is Healthy Marriage, Healthy You. That was the title, right?
That was it, babe.
All right.
There you go.
Episode 112, Healthy Marriage, Healthy You. And Veronica was there. You guys don't want to miss that conversation. She gives us a lot more than what she's given us tonight.
Yes.
It's a whole lot more tidbit. It was a great conversation. I truly enjoyed it. And so, Veronica, before we get out of here, please tell everyone who you are. Tell us about yourself. And if you want someone to get in contact with you for your services.
Oh, yes, no worries. And so once again, I'm Veronica Douglas, and licensed clinical social worker. And I do have a private practice platform. And you can reach me. I'll just give my email address. It's the letter N, the word the VOR, V as in Victor, ORTEX, the number one. So that's the vortex one at gmail.com. And so please, reach out and keep listening to this forum with Tina and Jason to be fed, truly to be fed. It's a wonderful idea, and just keep reaching out. Subscribe.
All right. Wonderful, wonderful. So again, you guys, if you have not had a chance to listen to this week's episode, go and you can go to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. You can go to YouTube and listen to it. You can go to our channel and click on podcasts. There's so many options, so there's no reason for you not to have it. For those of you out there who have not downloaded the free ebook, which lets me know that you're not serious about your relationship, because knowledge is power. No one can take that away from you. I was talking to my daughter.
This is interesting, though. It's free, right? It's free knowledge. Right? You don't
Exactly.
have to pay for it. So listen, if you need some help, even if you don't think you need any help, give it to someone that you might think that, hey, this could possibly help you out.
Forward the link to them. But this is what I was going to say. So I was talking with my daughter, and I was telling her, she was like, well, Mom, I already know that. And so I had to stop her. I said, people who think they know everything realize they really don't know anything.
Come on,
right?
now.
And knowing something, and knowing something, as we spoke today, right, Veronica? Practicing is something totally different.
Yep.
Yeah, we know a lot of things. We know, right? We
Yeah.
know what to do. We know what to say. But are we doing them? Are we saying them? And is there something else out there that maybe we don't know that can add to what we do know to make us even grander, even better, right? We always want to say, well, my relationship is fine. I don't need anything. Well, can it be better? Who doesn't want better, right? Who doesn't want? Do you want better, Veronica? Because I want better.
Absolutely.
Better, whatever.
Right.
Always.
Whatever it is, just put
Always.
me in the better column.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Thank
So
you.
again, go and download the free ebook on legendaryrelationship.com. Get your free ebook. It is Awaken the Love and Intimacy in Your Relationship. 8 simple ways. And we give you the simple ones because these are the bases. Right? We always have to have a basic standard, right? And then we can build up. So let's start somewhere. All right. So Veronica, do you want to say any tips? You want to drop a gem? What do you want to say for couples out there besides the wonderful things you've already said? Is there anything? And I know it's so much, right?
No, I
So-
just want to say congratulations to you couples out there, because appreciation. I appreciate the bond of marriage. I appreciate all of you who listen. I appreciate the thought that you want to have better, as Tina said. So I appreciate your continuing to honor the institution of marriage. And just remember, you're worthy. You set a vow and you made a commitment, and you're worthy of maintaining that commitment. So do what you need to do with ease and flow to build the bond, and the universe is really on your side.
All right. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Oh,
Thank you for that,
excellent.
Veronica. Thank you. So I think that's it. Is there any more comments?
No,
So
we're
I
good.
think Cleo and Kelly and everyone else was afraid to say anything. So if you guys missed the thing, it's up to all of us to make sure that we are communicating, but there is no fault. We have to learn not to play the blame game. All right. So I think that's it for us. As
Yeah.
always,
Thanks again, Veronica. We greatly appreciate it. So hopefully,
Blessings.
as always, we're in it to win it.